it. Guys, the wash up. Our whole sales team sits with a mortgage broker from Shaw, Zach from Shaw Finance, and we do the wash up after the budget, what it means to finance, what's happening with AI in finance. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it. There's some really interesting stuff.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Josh Wapshot.
Mark Novak, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Real Estate Agent. What
How
have
are
you got
you?
to tell? Yeah, really good. Really
Yeah,
good.
that's good.
It's a beautiful day today.
Yeah, weather's been good. Just a little bit chilly coming into winter, but at least the sun's been out a little bit better than the rain we've seen recently. But yeah, straight into AI meets finance. We had a really insightful meeting with the team yesterday, and we thought we'd share it with all you guys this morning.
And it was a bit of a machine gun with questions. The amount of questions that the sales reps threw at the mortgage broker I reckon there was over 100 questions. So we wanted to go through the highlighted ones today and what people may be thinking about, how's lending being affected with funding, how negative gearing is being affected with funding, how anything related to that budget is being affected with funding. There's, and then what I thought was really interesting is who's not borrowing money and who is borrowing money from mortgage brokers. What did you take from yesterday?
Yeah, probably three big things. Self-managed super funds on the push. He said Zach had mentioned that there's a lot of clients that are applying for finance under the self-managed super fund and still buying. Number two, for investors, he's seen about a 30% deduction to serviceability. So taking that purchasing power out of that pocket there. And number three, finance levels are steady. And it seems to be a lot of people are either upgrading the family home with renovations or they're upgrading that asset altogether with a cheaper changeover rate. So obviously, if you're coming from a unit, you're down 10%, and then moving into a more expensive asset, down 10%, that overall changeover is going to be less. So he is seeing still very active owner-occupiers looking to upgrade their number one asset, their owner-occupier.
I find that really exciting that, and a little bit unusual that in a changing market that we're in, it's actually a better time to upgrade because the changeover dollars, if you're doing funding at the moment and you're going to be buying something bigger, this is actually an incredibly perfect market to be doing that. Your changeover on the same changeover, selling your property and buying the same property. If you did this a year ago, your mortgage, your changeover price, your mortgage you would have taken it with you for 30 years would have been larger.
Definitely, yeah. And I had I literally had a discussion after that meeting. I had a client come in. We'd leased a couple of his storage units up at French's Forest. He wanted to take me out for a bit of a coffee to celebrate them all being leased. So we had a coffee, and they've got a apartment down the road on Oaks Ave. Too small for him. He wants to move into a small house. So he's thinking, oh, I've been hearing things about the market. Maybe it's not a good time to put up my unit for sale. And I said, well, it all depends on your situation. What are you planning on doing? He goes, well, I really want to move to a small house. I want a little bit more room for me and my wife. Want that idea of a backyard. And I go, well, actually, it's the perfect opportunity to make that leap, because exactly what we discussed just then, your changeover for that transaction can't get any better than this environment here when you're upgrading that asset, or buying something more expensive. And he's actually a professor through universities, does major talks, very intelligent. And he goes, you know what, Josh, you're right. I never thought of it like that. And all of a sudden, he's messaged me this afternoon, that afternoon yesterday, saying, can you start looking for me? I think you're right. I think now's the time to upgrade. So, people definitely don't think bad times, it's not going to work out as good, but there's always some silver lining out there in the market.
Yeah, and what I thought was talking with Zach, the mortgage broker from Shaw, yesterday was interesting what he was saying about investors. So investors' capacity to lend has reduced by 20 to 30%. So, and as a net result from that, there's going to be less in rental properties on the market, because there's always rental properties that are being sold. But if the same cap rate of flow of purchase is not there, then there's a smaller pool. So I think what's consistent is everyone saying that there will be higher rents, in the marketplace as a result, because the investor is having troubles borrowing. Um,
Exactly right.
secondhand property, I think that was
Yeah,
secondhand property.
exactly.
I knew it's untouched.
I think that was across the board, Mark. Like every member in the team, Zach, that was one thing we could definitely all agree on was that who came out worse off from all these changes, and it was unfortunately the renters in the market. It seemed to affect most, and it's actually quite insane as well. Bringing AI into it, like market with our glorious Claude had pretty much put together a, what would you call it, interactive website where you could change yields, repayments. You basically had a whole investment model built by Claude, and it took into consideration, the last 50 years worth of growth, average that growth out year by year, average the growth out on rental income and how that's increased over the last 100 years, average that out as a prediction moving forward. And I think Zach was even quite surprised by how handy that tool was created in your free Claude AI. It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think it puts up a really compelling argument. So we, being a mortgage broker, being a real estate agent, and selling loans or selling property, you're always trying to explain the features and benefits of people getting into property, but you find it quite hard to articulate that with a purchaser or a person that's even considering it. And with the help of Claude, like I showed Zach, and I'd built some pretty cool stuff, which only took me a few minutes, and presented like a case on the northern beaches and over what it had, because fortunately I had access to 40 years of sales on the northern beaches, care of CoreLogic, lovely people. So I plugged in all 40 years of sales on the northern beaches, and then plugged in um, the in what if you basically what that capital growth looked like, and then did an internal rate of return. So if I borrowed 10 or 20%, what that looked like per year over 10 years, given the old data. And it was pretty, like, I'd love to be able to, feel free to SMS me if you want to get a hold of that, because the way that articulated, I don't know if you can see, but the way that articulated um, your actual return on your money, that you're getting as an investor or as an owner occupier, tax free, was just incredible. So I think as a broker, when you show people that, it's like, oh my god, that makes sense. Let's do it.
Definitely. And like even for myself, I played around with that last night. You sort of get caught in a rabbit hole, and you look up and you spent 2 hours just interacting with Claude. But I'd purchase one of the new Casa Del Mars off the plan that's down here in DY, and I ran a few scenarios through it. And it was quite crazy, the fact of, or the difference with and without negative gearing. The scenarios I'd given it was, you know, this is my end goal, buy as much property as I can. Would it be a better decision to live in the property, or would I be better off renting it out? And with those chat, or would be grandfathered under the existing negative gearing rules, and pretty much every 3 years at a minimum, I would be $50,000 better off cash in pocket by actually renting the property out. Um, and that's
Wow.
that's obviously, yeah, by the way of that, claiming back that loss every year. So
Yep.
when they say for the younger generation to get into the property market, and this is helping them. I found it, quite quite the opposite, because it was much easier for me as a younger adult purchasing something that I don't necessarily live in the old Rentvesting. I was better off with money in my pocket. I was better off over long term in terms of building a portfolio. So I think we've seen a lot of stories come out post budget about how does this actually really help younger people buy property, but a lot of the experts are coming out and saying it doesn't, and what I keep looking at and seeing it doesn't.
Nah, it's interesting. But I do encourage people to use AI, but it's the information that you actually put in is it's as good as the information that you actually put into it. So using Claude or using ChatGPT, obviously there's nothing better than ringing up a mortgage broker or a real estate agent. But the segue of using that type of information, that AI is incredible. Because it can, like, look at you, you became a better investor overnight just by what you're plugging into AI.
Yeah, it really is. I wasn't really take me 2-3 years ago, or probably longer, pre-Novak times. I probably wasn't the biggest tech guy, but I I couldn't think of a day in the last 2-3 years where I haven't used AI once in that day at all. So it's crazy even for me to feel that transition. It almost feels slow or inefficient now without using it, which is a bit crazy, isn't it?
Oh man, I got to say, I'd be using it 50 times a day.
Yeah,
The
and you're missing
stuff.
out if you're not.
The what?
I'm saying you're missing out if you're not. It really
Yeah,
is a tool in the old belt, so to
yep,
speak. But yeah, it's great.
absolutely. Mr.
But
Wapshott,
yeah,
thank you very much. I hope this helped people today. Mortgage broking and AI hand in hand, and what the market's up to after the budget.
thanks, Mark. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too. See ya.